Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for a Parent University session. Today, we have a very, very good presentation titled, "We Can All Do Math." And this is important. This is just an absolutely wonderful presentation and can't wait to share it with you. And so at this time, what I'd like to do is introduce or turn it over to our teaching and learning team at this time. So I'm going to turn it over to our teaching and learning team for their introductions.
Hello, parents. My name is Doug Planey. I'm the Pre-K-12 Math Director for Teaching and Learning. And every great team starts with great leaders, and we have two of the best in our ISD. And I would like to introduce you to Dr. Bynum.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Planey. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight and watching our presentation. We really hope that you enjoy it. And yes, I'm Kristen Bynum, the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning Services. And we're just very blessed to work in RISD and support you and your students. That's why we're here. So thank you for all that you do as well as parents.
Ms. Butel.
Hi, I'm Dr. Denise Butel, and I'm the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning and have the opportunity to work with this great team. And I echo Dr. Bynum's sentiments in that we're so thankful to work in the ISD with such a great parent community where our parents are really as partners, and really thank you for your participation in today's Parent University. Very excited to share with you the great things that the math team has done, just little conversation tips, little ideas that we can all do when working with our students in math. It's great information, and excited that you're with us today to help partner with us in the education of your children.
Michael.
My name is Michael Grissom. I am the secondary math specialist. I've been here in Richardson ISD for 6 years, and I am super excited to be on this team.
And Julie.
And my name is Julie Teague. I'm over elementary math. I've been in Richardson for 3 years, and this is my 3rd year on the team. I'm super excited to be here. Richardson is an awesome place to educate your children.
So tonight, here's our agenda. We are going to talk about strategies that you can use with your son or daughter to help them learn to connect with math so they can grow and be successful. We're going to start with a little math activity that Ms. Grissom is going to take us through. Ms. Grissom?
All right, so this is a fun activity that we're going to do with you that you in turn can do with your kids. So what I'd like you to do is write a number down. It might be easier if you stick with a number between 1 and 10, but just write a number down. You may want to get out your phone and grab your calculator with that, but we're going to do a few little mini calculations. So choose a number and write it down. All right, next, what you're going to do is subtract 1 from your number. Okay, next, you're going to multiply that number by 3. All right, stick with me. Now we're going to add 12. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to divide that by 3. So I'll give you a second, grab your calculator, and just click divide by 3. All right, now you're going to add 5 to that number. Now, last step, you're going to subtract the number that you did originally. So that number that you wrote down, subtract that number. Okay, I'm going to do a little magic in my mind, a little math magic in my head, and I just bet you got the number 8. Is that right? So this is a magic math activity, but really what you just did was some algebra. I can go through, and there's a whole bunch of these different activities. If you just go to Google and Google Math Magic, it's really not magic. I can go through and I can prove to you why that will work every single time. But this is an activity that you can do with your kids. This is really meant to show kids that math can be fun. It's meant to kind of stir up some excitement and engagement in the kids to be like, math, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun activities that you can do. And there's a whole bunch of these different activities that we'd love to share with you, or you can just simply look them up on Google. But these are so much fun, and it really gets you excited about math. So one of the reasons why we wanted to share this with you is to really show you and show your kids that you can have fun with math. All right, Doug.
So tonight, we want to spend just a few minutes dispelling some of the myths about math, because what we really want to do is to, together with you, we want to help build a mindset for math in our students. Math requires a good memory. So knowing math means that concepts make sense to you and rules and formulas will become natural. So we want to make sure our students understand the concept. And once they do that, a lot of times the formulas will come naturally to them. And so this kind of knowledge can't really be learned through memorization. So once you understand concepts, the rest of it's going to come naturally. And so that's what we really want to emphasize with our students, learning the concept and not necessarily memorization. It is bad to count on your fingers. Well, that's a myth. There's nothing wrong with counting on your fingers as an aid to doing arithmetic. Actually, counting on your fingers indicates an understanding of arithmetic. And it's a lot more better to count on your fingers than to try to memorize. So but the fact that you're counting on your fingers really indicates that you understand arithmetic. Boys are better than girls at math. So research has failed to show any difference between boys and girls in mathematical ability. Doesn't exist. Mathematicians do problems quickly in their head. So solving new problems or learning new material is always going to be difficult and time consuming. The only problems mathematicians do quickly are usually the ones they've already done before. So students need to expect new things to take a little bit of time. And that's okay. Speed is not a measure of ability. It is a result of experience and practice. It is always important to get the answer right. Well, the first airplane didn't fly. And so it is very important to learn from mistakes. And that's really where we have an opportunity to grow. So the ability to grow is going to come from making mistakes. And I always used to tell my students, that's why they put an eraser on your pencil, because you're not always going to get the answer right the first time. And that's okay. We want to build grit in our students and perseverance. There is a magic key to being able to do math. Well, the only key to doing math is to really overcoming the anxiety about the subject. And so when kids and students overcome their anxiety, that will allow students to unlock their potential. And so it's our job as educators and as parents to help alleviate and eliminate as much as we can, because there's always going to be a little anxiety when you learn something new, but we want to make sure our students know that they can do it. And the last one here, some students have a math mind and some don't. Well, what it really comes down to is self-confidence. And it is our job as educators and as parents to help our students build their self-confidence. And with their confidence growing, anything is possible. So it really comes down to not any kind of ability and math mind. It's all about having confidence. I would like to show you guys a little video that speaks to the ability of all our students being successful in mathematics.
How do you feel about math?
I'm not good at math.
I just don't get it.
It makes me kind of feel uncomfortable.
When I get called on in math class, I feel scared.
Because I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up the problem.
My brain just doesn't think anymore, it doesn't think straight, and I just go like, okay, what do I do? I have no idea what to do.
Math makes me feel stupid.
Scared that I would answer wrong or get laughed at.
I'll never be able to do this.
Scene 16, take 1, marker.
I'm still learning who I am, but I'm good at
Forming my idea of my own potential.
And if I think I can't be good at math, I won't be.
But math is everywhere.
Math is a basic life skill. Without math, I could get left behind.
So help me know that limits don't exist.
That math isn't beyond my reach.
That my potential can take me anywhere. That with hard work and the right mindset,
I can grow.
because math esteem is self-esteem.
With math, I can be a fashion designer,
A doctor.
A computer programmer.
a wildlife biologist.
A teacher.
With math, I can be anything. So click the link,
Take the pledge
And find out how you can implement
growth mindset strategies
to improve your students' math esteem.
So I can have a fighting chance.
to become who I want to be.
Okay, I love that video. And one of the things that you heard them talk about several times was growth mindset. And since we've said that now a few times, I want to make sure that you know what growth mindset is. Growth mindset is the belief that you can increase your own ability through effort. So the more you work at something, the harder you try, the better you'll get. And we see athletes do this all the time. And what we have to understand is that our brain is a muscle. And if the more we work at it, the better we'll get. So when you're learning, your brain is growing. And the feeling that math is hard, that's the feeling you get when your brain is growing. So we really want to look at this as a growth mindset type opportunity. So we talk about two types of mindset. One is fixed and the other is the growth mindset. A fixed mindset says things like, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I've never been good at math. Those are the things that a fixed mindset would say. But a growth mindset says, I've got to keep working at this. I need to keep trying. I did better this week than last week. I think I can do this if I keep working at it. And that's what we want. We need our kids to understand that the mistakes they make and the failures that they have along the way are how we learn. And so one of the things that we want to think about when we talk to our children is what we praise them for. We praise them for effort, and for strategies that they've used, and for progress that they've made. We praise them for hard work and for persistence, for rising to a challenge and learning from a mistake. What we should not praise them for are the things that they got through no effort of their own. So for example, being smart, born gifted with all these wonderful abilities that you don't even have to try to use because they're just there. We don't want to praise them for not making mistakes because mistakes are how we grow. One of the things that I love is the power of yet. And one of the things I always told my students was when they would say, I can't multiply, I would say, you can't multiply yet. Because if we work at it, we will be able to. None of us were born able to walk or talk. We had to work, we had to fail, we had to learn how to do it. We couldn't walk yet. We couldn't talk yet, but we were going to learn how, and we did. One of the things that's important for parents is to recognize your own mindset. your kids pick up on your messages, your subliminal messages, the way your body language is. They know exactly how you feel about something. So if you give a great big deep sigh every time they ask you for help with their math homework, they know exactly what you're saying. If you roll your eyes when they try to show you what they learned today in math, they get that. So you want to watch your actions and your words too, so that they know that you are truly supportive of math and that you believe that they can do it. When you talk to your kids, you might ask them, what did you do today that made you think really hard? Or what new strategies did you try? Or did you make any mistakes today that you learned from? Those are the things that we really want to focus on with our kids. And one last thing, when you talk to your kids about math, try not to say, oh, I'm not good at math either, because that sets up that feeling of, well, I'm going to fail at math. My parents aren't good at math. They can't do math, or they don't like math. And so I'm not going to be able to do it either. Or I'm never going to succeed at math because they haven't. So what you want to say, let's say that you struggled with math. You can say, I had a hard time with math too. I really had to work to learn my facts, but I did. Those kinds of things make a huge difference. It's okay for your kids to know that everything's not easy, because everything's not easy, but you want them to know that you struggled through and you learned how to do it, and you can do it, and they can too.
So another piece of when we talk about building up our students and getting them to grow in math, not just as a growth mindset, because that's a huge piece, but the other piece is getting them to advocate for themselves. And so before we get too far into it, I want to show you this video.
It looks like you have a question. Sam, did you understand what the teacher was saying? It's okay if you don't understand, but it's important that you decide to ask her for help. She will be able to help you understand it. Most people need extra help with difficult subjects, or when they have a different learning style from the way the material is presented. You just need the courage to ask. Here's how these students got the courage to ask for help.
If you need help in school, my advice would be to definitely project yourself and ask questions. It's never okay to not understand and let yourself be confused about something, because you need to understand and you need to know.
Asking questions improved my grades because when I was unsure and I raised my hand and asked, my teacher would verify my answer, and so I knew what I was doing right or wrong.
Before the class, read the chapter ahead of time. That way when you're in class, you're going to know exactly what the teacher's already talking about. And if you were confused at first, you can ask your teacher specifically, what is this? And you don't have to wait to the day of the test when you're going to get that grade and just, it's not going to be what you want it to be.
Never be scared to ask for help. I ask my friends for help. I ask my teachers for help. I ask my principal for help. I ask my dean for help. I ask everyone for help.
Just remember, it's up to you to choose to get help. You have to decide to overcome your fear and ask for help. No one will know you need it unless you ask. And there is nothing to be embarrassed about. It will only help you.
So when we talk about encouraging your students to advocate for themselves, here are a couple of different strategies that we've talked about. Now, one that I wanted to mention before that's not on here is that students are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to look stupid or look dumb in front of their other classmates. But 90% of the time, the other classmates have the exact same question. Nobody wants to be that first person to ask. So it is okay to ask questions. And so when you can encourage them, first off, to be a good listener, to be an active listener. Don't daydream and stuff and do all these other things during class. But if they happen to daydream, if they happen to kind of get off track, it's okay to ask the teacher to repeat something. The teacher would the teachers are always more than happy to repeat themselves so that their students can understand the concept rather than moving on to the rest of the lesson and then everybody's lost. So encourage them to be good listeners, but it is okay to repeat, ask the teachers to repeat. Next, help them to build their ability to reflect and self-assess. Think about, I just went through this lesson. Do I really understand? Do I get this? Maybe that question comes up when they're working on their assignments and they say, I'm not exactly sure I really understand this. So being able to recognize that they don't fully understand is really that first step to being able to say, I need some help. Let your child explain to you what is challenging to them in math. So when they're at home and working on those assignments, let them talk to you, because sometimes when they explain their misunderstandings in words, that really helps them communicate what they actually need help with. If your child is extremely shy, encourage them to try other ways to communicate. So I love this because right now we're in a pandemic. We have a lot of virtual learning going on. There's a lot of Zoom lessons going on right now, just like we're doing right now. And this offers the opportunity for students to ask questions without putting themselves out. I was teaching in a class just the other day, and I had all of these kids on a Zoom meeting with me, but they were able to ask me questions privately, and nobody else saw it. It was just a direct message to me, but I was able to see the question and I was able to answer the question to the entire class without anybody even knowing that someone asked a question. And so when they can build in those other ways of asking questions, it can help them just get started in advocating for themselves. Maybe they're not on a full a Zoom meeting like this. They can send a message through Google Classroom. They can shoot their teacher an email. I encourage my stepdaughter to always, if they're not understanding something, or if they need help, or even if they have a 0 in the grade book that they believe that they turned in, I say, email your teacher, because if they can advocate for themselves, they're getting more and more independent and they can take care of themselves a little bit better. Take advantage of tutoring times. Teachers are there all the time. I tell you, my very first year of teaching, I was at the school till 6 o'clock sometimes, just tutoring. And teachers are always willing to be there to help kids. So take advantage of those tutoring times. Email a teacher, say, hey, can I come in and ask you a couple of questions? That is a major important piece of being able to advocate for yourself. And finally, praise them when they do. If they email their teacher, and you say, awesome, thank you for emailing. Did you go to tutoring? Awesome, great job. And so they're building up their confidence in being able to do those things for themselves. All right, so why do we even teach math? Why is math so important? Why do we put so much emphasis on this? Math stretches across so many things in your life, in your day-to-day life. And so let's watch this video just to get a little bit deeper into that.
Have you ever dreamed about becoming a doctor,
firefighter, a veterinarian, a police officer, a scientist, an engineer, an artist, an astronaut, a pilot, a teacher,
or a lawyer when you grow up? But sometimes you wonder, why do I have to learn math at school? If so, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Miss Mary Lou, and this is Mathematicians in Action. The purpose of learning math is not just to pass a test to move to the next grade level. For sure, it's not to make your day harder or boring at school. The reality is that math is essential to understanding the world around us, and we need math to successfully accomplish even the most basic tasks in our everyday life. And did you know that most professions use math to successfully accomplish their job? For example, numbers provide an abundance of information for medical professionals like doctors, nurses, and veterinarians. They're constantly using math to write prescriptions or to administer the right amount of medication. Police officers also use math in many ways. A few examples are when they have to analyze traffic accidents to determine the cause of the accident and the cause of victims' injuries. They also need math to write tickets. For example, in some places, the faster a person drives, the more the ticket will be if they get caught. And this is determined by using a mathematical formula. Another example are firefighters. They use math to calculate the nozzle pressure and how much water they will need to put out the fire. Scientists are always using math. Any other science like biology, chemistry, psychology, geology, and physics relies on graph, statistics, and mathematical calculations. Hi, did you also know that pilots and astronauts are constantly solving mathematical equations to pilot a craft? And these are just a few examples. The truth is that learning and practicing math train our brains to think logically, to recognize patterns, to identify and state a problem clearly, and to find ways to solve the problem. I know, learning math can be challenging sometimes, but remember, it gets easier with practice and a positive attitude. Thank you for watching.
Thanks so much for sharing that video, Michael. And I love the way that it pulls the concepts of what you and Ms. Teague have been talking about as far as having that positive mindset towards mathematics, that can-do attitude, that I'm learning math, and that power of yet, self-advocating for yourself in mathematics, because those two aspects, those two attributes are so important for our students to have so that they can learn math in the classroom, engage in math in meaningful ways, because it's important for careers. And one way that I can speak to the fact of how important and how our community partners view the importance is Texas Instruments is one of our great community partners here in RISD, and they have helped to support us through the Berkner STEM Grant. And they are sponsoring us this evening, so through door prizes for all of our parents who are participating in tonight's Parent University. They've provided flashcards, math games, and other materials that we will be sending home with your students this week as a result of you participating. And we want to say thank you to Texas Instrument for sponsoring tonight and for recognizing how important it is to have our parents as partners in mathematics. And thank you because they are so vested in our school district, because they want RISD graduates to come and work and be mathematically prepared to support them in their business industry at Texas Instruments. So works perfectly with this video because it speaks to the real world aspects of mathematics. I think sometimes kids, especially when you're in those upper grades, the kids are like, how am I ever going to use this? These real world examples are the career, showing how careers use math in everyday life. At this point, we're going to turn it over to 2 breakout sessions. So those families that have students that are elementary are going to be with Ms. T, and she is going to go through some real world hands-on things that you can do with your students to support your elementary age students. If you have secondary students that are in grades 7 through 12, Ms. Grissom's going to take that group and also do the same thing, activities, and talk specifically around the games and different activities you can do to support your secondary student. So without further ado, I'll let you go ahead and move on into those breakout rooms.
We're going to start off and talk about resources for elementary. So the first thing I want to suggest is that you talk to your child's teacher. Know where your child is with their reading level, with their math level. Being an informed parent is the most important thing that you can be. You need to know, where are your child's strengths? Where are their struggles? What can you do to support them? And ask your teacher for suggestions. What would she like to see you do to support your child? Another way that you can have fun with math, and your child can, is by online activities. So if you have a cell phone that your kids can use, or if they have an iPad, or they have their school iPad at home, there are some great online websites that are totally free that have really great games. One of them is called Cool Math Games, and the kids love that. Every time I'm in a classroom, they're begging to play on it. Math is Fun is another one, and Math Playground is a third one. The next thing that I want to tell you, and you were a child at one point, so I know you know this, basic facts. Your kids need to know their basic facts, whether it's addition or subtraction, multiplication or division. With our little guys, we want to make sure they can add and subtract. Can they add and subtract to 10? Then can they add and subtract to 20? How are they with basic facts? When our kids hit third grade, it really becomes critical that they learn their multiplication facts through 10 times 10. It's very hard for them if they move on from third grade without having those facts down. And one of the things I can tell you is that you don't have to have a game. You don't have to have flashcards. You don't have to have anything. You can be driving in the car and say, what's 6 times 7? And see if your kid can say 42. You can be cooking dinner and say, what's 8 times 8? 64. Good. You can do it without anything at all. Just see if your child knows their facts. The other thing I want to point out is that we can never overemphasize the importance of reading. And we also read in math. If you've ever seen any of the standardized test questions, you know that they're big word problems. And if our kids can't read, they can't pass the math test. So we really want to be sure that we're giving our kids a chance to read and comprehend, not just in reading, but in math and science and social studies, all of those areas. But reading and math is also critical. I have some milestones that I want to talk to you about in elementary math. In kindergarten, our students learn how to read and write and add and subtract numbers. They learn what they mean. They learn about putting groups of things together and taking groups of things apart. They learn how to write the word 5 and the number 5 and to say 5 and know what it means. In first grade, our kids start to learn about place value, and they go more in depth with addition and subtraction. And this is where we really start to see those word problems come in. And of course, money. When we were little, everybody knew about money because that was what you wanted. These days, everybody swipes a debit card. And so these kids don't see as much just plain old money as we used to see. So you really want to do some things with money with your kids. Let them count your change. Let them sort the coins, things like that, because it really is important for them. In second grade, the numbers we're working with are getting larger, and we're starting to work with regrouping. They'll keep adding and subtracting, keep working on place value concepts, and then at the end of the year, right about now, we're bringing in the conceptual ideas of multiplication and division, because that is critical for what's coming next. Third grade, this is where they learn their facts through 10 times 10, and then the division facts that correspond. So that's a big one. In fourth grade, we continue working with multiplication, but now we're doing like 2 digits times 2 digits, or 4 digits times 1 digit. So it gets bigger and bigger. Fourth grade is also a really big year for fractions. Fifth grade, we're doing things with all 4 operations, word problems, order of operations, a lot of decimal work. It's huge. And then guys, 6th grade, that's where we really shift. And the shift takes us to integers, ratios, rational numbers. It's solving inequalities, solving equations, solving for X. It really starts to look like algebra. It's so much fun to teach, and it's so much fun for the kids when they open their mind and work their way through it. So I hope that you'll keep these milestones in mind as your kids move through elementary school.
So when we get into secondary math, and the higher up the math we go, sometimes the more worried and maybe a little helpless that parents tend to feel, because they feel like they just can't help their kids. Maybe multiplication, division, they feel comfortable helping with, but once you get those letters into math, letters and numbers combined together just tend to not make sense, especially if you haven't done it in a while. And so when we get into secondary, what I wanted to share with you is some resources that you can use to share and help your kids and say, I may not be able to help you, but here, let me point you in this direction. Now, we already talked about that growth mindset of, I can't help you physically, but I can help you mentally. And I can say, hey, you can do this. You just have to try. You just have to work hard at it. But first off, when we get into our digital textbooks, that has been one of our biggest things this year, especially as we started out virtually, was wanting to make sure we had online and digital textbooks for all of our students. And so every single one of our courses has a textbook that is available digitally. So it's a great place to start for students to find problems, resources, maybe a little bit of tutorials, and some concepts that they're learning about in class. Then we get into IXL. IXL is something that we're using all throughout the district, starting in kindergarten, and it has access to problems, practicing math all the way up into calculus. It provides a mini tutorial when they don't get something right, but it's very adaptive. If they're doing something wrong, it may give them a couple more problems based on that standard that they're trying to work on. Then we get into Khan Academy. Khan Academy is popular all across the country. And Khan Academy is really popular because of his tutorial videos. So if your student is just not understanding a concept, that they don't know how to do it, it's not just that they need practice, but they need a little bit of help. Khan Academy has made videos for every single topic. Again, all the way up to calculus, to help students understand that concept. Maybe he teaches a little bit differently than the teacher. Maybe that's what the student needs, to see something just a little bit different and maybe show it to them in a different way. And so Khan Academy is a great resource to just send your kids to and say, hey, go look this up on Khan Academy. And he does also provide some practice problems as well. And then finally, Delta Math. It's just one more resource, one more platform that gives you some free problems, and it starts in 6th grade and goes all the way up to calculus that you can practice with. A lot of the schools are using Delta Math for practice problems. The teachers can create classes where they can see how the students are doing, but they don't have to do that. Students can just jump in, say what grade that they want to look for, and get some problems. And they are graduated problems where it starts with an easier base level of rigor, a base level of how hard it is, and then it increases the rigor as they keep on going. So when students come home, they can't do their homework, all you have to do is say, hey, what is the concept you're trying to do? What are you working on? You can put that into any of these platforms, go to their textbook, go to Khan Academy if they need a tutorial, or go to IXL or Delta Math if they just need some extra practice. And so when we get into secondary math, there's kind of two pieces. We've got pre-Algebra 1 and then post-Algebra 1. There's so many studies out there that say that Algebra 1 is that really, that gatekeeper for post-secondary learning. Algebra 1 is what holds the keys for student success. So even in 6th grade, like Julie said, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade is really meant to build those skills into Algebra 1 so that students can be as successful as possible in algebra. Then once we get after Algebra 1, we're really getting those students ready for college. We're getting them ready for those post-secondary courses so that they can build their knowledge, build conceptual understanding. And it's not just about an algorithm. It's not just about being able to do these skills, but it's also about that conceptual understanding and problem solving. And so there's so many different things. Once we get into algebra, we have quadratics, trigonometry, derivatives, and integrals that, again, you may not be as comfortable with to help them with, but that's why we have those resources for you and for your students to be as successful as possible. So that's what I have for you for secondary math.
Well, wonderful. Awesome presentation. And I've got to tell you, I am what was presented today, this evening applies right to me because I actually have a daughter who graduated cum laude in math. She overcame some challenges early on. We had this idea that, you know, I've never gone beyond a certain math concept or, you know, and so work with my family, we just encouraged her to continue to work through it and get the help. And, you know, that made, I mean, she took calculus at the end. I mean, you know, it was amazing work. It was just amazing. And I can't thank the teaching and learning team for putting this together for us because we want to share this with everyone here in the Richardson ISD and beyond, if they, you know, so want to view it, because this is important. This is important in how our you know, to help our students be successful. So I want to thank all our leader, Dr. Bino, Dr. Butel, Michael, Julie, Doug. Thank you so much for you know, putting this on for us. And I got to tell you, it's just really good to hear. And I hope that our families can really just use some of these resources and help our students be successful. So before we close out, I do want to let you know that if you're viewing this, of course, you know it's recorded, but you can also access other parent resources by going to www.risd.org/parent corner. And when you click on, when you go into the search engine and you type that in, it's going to take you right to our parent corner. Look for the Parent University tab. When you click on that, you're just going to go down and view our video library where not only this session is going to live, but where we have other sessions available for you. So thank you so much again for you know, viewing, and thank you teaching and learning team for putting this together. And one thing I didn't do, which I just now realized, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Miguel Benitez, and I am the Family Engagement Director for the Richardson ISD. Very happy to do this wonderful work here at this wonderful school district. So without any further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and end this meeting. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.